Okay, cool. It's Toby here, and this is lesson 9, where we're going to do some planting using the Shoot plugin. So the Shoot plugin should appear on your toolbar up here. If it isn't there, if you haven't installed it yet, you will need to go to Extensions and the Extension Manager. And in Extension Manager, you can install a new extension. I'm not going to do that on this video. Shoot can explain how that works, and I think they have videos on how to do it. You will need to restart your SketchUp before you can start using the Shoot plugin. When it's installed, it appears usually something like that, just as a little dot on the screen. It's very handy to dock it up into your toolbar up here somewhere where it'll always be, so you know exactly where to find it. Right, so to plant things in our garden, we've got our 3 scenes that we've created. I'm just going to stay in the top-down scene for now and click on the Shoot Planner. And it'll ask me to, it might ask me to sign in, so you need to sign in with your Shoot credentials, and you can then pick a garden. And this is now showing me the plants that are available in my garden. If I want to, I can add plants here. Okay, so I can search the Shoot database for all of its 30,000 plants. And I'll just show you the search on something that I've already got, which is the Alchemilla mollis, or maybe I want to pick another one. And that will add it to my garden. But I'm not going to do that because I've already added the plants that I want for this little garden. And fundamentally, the way Shoot works is very straightforward. You pick a plant, so let's pick that Alchemilla mollis, and when you click in this circle, a tick will appear. Okay, and when a tick appears, it means it's ready to start placing plants. And you can do it top down, or you can do it in 3D. I'm just going to do it from my top down view. So there we go. So that's completely top down. Make sure you've got that selected, and now we can place plants. And because it's exactly top down, we get this view of a top-down view of a plant. So I'm just going to put a few clusters of this Alchemilla mollis, like so. I think that'll do. And then we can pick another plant. So the Artemisia Paris Castle. Make sure it's got a checkbox in it. And we can zoom in and place one there. The symbols which are used here you can change in Shoot, and I may have a moment to show you how to do that. So I'm just going to put a few of these, and then let's choose this Calamagrostis, and we'll put some of them here, some by the house. Okay, and that's, I think we probably need some lavenders. So let's get this Lavandula angustifolia, and put 3 of those in our trough. And we'll put a few running down this side of the lawn, like so. Yeah, as I say, I'm not a gardener, so but that will probably do us for now. And I've pressed escape to let go of that, and I'm just minimizing the Shoot Planner to get it out of the way. So that's what my top-down view likes. If I go to one of my 3D views, we get a very different view. So this is what our garden starts to look like. What I sometimes do if I'm going to be creating scenes that I want to look realistic is I will scale some of these. So let's say this one here, I can press S for the scale tool, which is this one over here, and then you can drag a corner to change the size, and it just means that we get a kind of a more realistic look if some of them are slightly different size. This doesn't change the size in Shoot, but it does make for a much more realistic scene. So if I just do a few of these, you get the idea that, in fact, let me just take that one that way a little bit. There we go. So you can see it looks more natural when some of them are slightly different sizes. Maybe I'll change one of these and make it a bit smaller as well. There we go. All right, so that's kind of our garden planted. A couple of other things I can show you in the Shoot plugin itself. If you want it to reappear, just click on the Shoot icon again and it'll pop up from its minimized position. So if I go to my top-down view, you'll see that I've got a settings box here. And in settings, you can choose whether we have 2D silhouettes on or off. So if I switch those off and save the settings, we get circles instead. And this is very useful for planting plans. A lot of people prefer to have the circles view for planting plans. The 3D view, when you've got 2D silhouettes off, looks like this, with triangular placeholders which show the size and the position of plants. I'll just go back to, and of course, you know, that applies to all of the views. So now I'm just going to set that back on. 2D silhouettes back on, save setting. There we go. So now we're back to actually seeing the plants. These are all called face me components. That means they face you whichever angle you're looking at, which gives you a very realistic view of the garden. And they're very they use very few edges, which makes them very lightweight to use in SketchUp. When we create plants, we're creating an awful lot of models, if you like. And if you import plants from SketchUp and not using Shoot, they will kill your model very quickly. Shoot has done an amazing job of getting 35,000 plants that look like the plant that is described, and it doesn't kill your model. So that's kind of crucial. Not much more I'm going to talk about on the Shoot planting. One thing I will do though is show you how we can change a plant. So if we go to let's go to that Artemisia Palace Castle, and I can click on Edit Symbol, and you'll see that there's a 3D symbol, which is what's shown here, and then there was that top down. If I wanted to change the top down, I can click here and search for, let's say, shrubs, and I may want to use one of these other symbols instead of the one that's currently shown. And if I were to do that, and I'll do it just for illustration purposes, select that, save the symbol. Okay, and now when I go to my top-down view, you'll see that what was a black and white outline is now that new one that I've chosen. So you can do that, and it will apply to all of the instances of that plant in your model. That's it for the planting, and the next lesson will be how we take this now and move it to layout for printing and creating PDFs.